What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And the Bulls got a dub last night, but they have a test coming up against the Charlotte Hornets tonight, and a team that is dealing with a lot of injuries and maybe isn't going to be the biggest test for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about that game, the game last night, and what to look forward to in this team coming up. We'll get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans. So first up, go and check out the post-game show last night if you want an extensive breakdown of the game last night. But outside of that, we're gonna recap it a little bit here. And the key thing in this game, Zach LaVine outscoring the Brooklyn Nets by himself in the fourth quarter. And so, him scoring 20 points, the Brooklyn Nets scoring 19 points. The Bulls use a huge fourth quarter to really kind of seal this game. And it was good to see this game from Zach LaVine, amongst all the doubters and things like that, for him to just have this game where he took over a quarter. And there's a lot of Bulls fans that, of course, because of the contract, because of other things, and some of you guys, I'm not even gonna lie, are just weird. Like, to me, for the fans that, just to prove themselves right, want to see a player or the team do bad for a team that they quote unquote cheer for or root for, you're just weird. You're just weird. But nonetheless, outside of that, Zach LaVine needed this game. He talked about, him getting himself in rhythm, and he had this quote after the game: "I felt good a lot of games. It's just getting back to rhythm. Sometimes you catch a rhythm. That's all I'm looking to do. It's my fifth game back. I'm feeling better and better each game, letting the game come to me. I'm just glad we got the win." And, in that said, right, seeing Zach LaVine put the team on the shoulders and not shy away from it, hitting big shot after big shot, him even, talking crap to Royce O'Neal after he pointed towards the bench. This was a game in which you everything you wanted to see from Zach, being the highest paid player now in Bulls history, things like that, he displayed in this game. Yes, it was some questionable quarters, especially the start for Zach LaVine was a little bit, rocky, but he ends the game 10 for 21, 5 for 11 from three-point range with 3 rebounds, 5 assists in this game, only 1 turnover, a very solid game from Zach LaVine overall, on his way to 29 points, to scoring extremely well for the Chicago Bulls team. Like I said, seeing this game from Zach is one thing, especially against a team like the Brooklyn Nets, who, are only 2-6 on the season, aren't the best defensive team, but the Bulls were down by double digits and they fought back, showing that resiliency, and Zach did not let them lose this game, hitting several big threes when needed, taking them confidently, and Zach LaVine stepping up in the way that he did in the fourth quarter really sealed this game for the Chicago Bulls. And one thing that I do not want to overlook in this is also the contribution of Ayo Dosunmu, who had the highest plus minus of any Bulls player on this team, chipping in 7 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals as well, putting together a very solid game. And Patrick Williams, we had to get another game of P. Will, not passive P, as he just is steadily improving the last 4 games or so. Really stepping up big time for the Chicago Bulls in this game. Now, as we know, this schedule is going to get a lot tougher for the Bulls shorter rather than later. And then it stays tough from Friday, this upcoming Friday, basically until the end of November. The Bulls have a tough opponent every single night that they play games. And so Zach LaVine getting back in rhythm, and him and Billy Donovan even not ruling out the chance that Zach LaVine plays tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, I, for one, looking at who's going to be out for the Charlotte Hornets, I don't expect Zach LaVine to play. They really should need him, but again, maybe they do let him play a handful of minutes to kind of work himself and keep that rhythm going. But at the end of the day, the Bulls stepped up. They played very well. Goran Dragic in this game, 15 points off the bench, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Him playing great off the bench. 15 points out of the 23 points that came off our bench came from Goran Dragic alone. He was in the game with the starters for a little while. And as I've been saying before, especially with Kobe White out, we're seeing the importance of Goran Dragic and his three-point shooting, how he stretches the floor, and as well as his passing. He's just a solid NBA player who, is coming in at a luxury for us off that bench. Now, of course, we know we want Andre Drummond back and what he means and everything like this, but this Bulls team played pretty well against a team that does not have a lot of size, and that's going to maintain going forward as well. And we'll talk about that Charlotte Hornet game here in a second, but just overall, really good team effort in this game. One of the things that I've also noticed that's been a trend for this team that I kind of mentioned on the live stream, I'm going to bring over to this as well, is that DeMar DeRozan is averaging 4 less shots per game this season than what he did last season. And his scoring average is close to being the same as what it was. He is scoring 2 points less. He has a higher PER, a lower usage rate as well. He's just being efficient, and I think that shows the more balanced offense of the Chicago Bulls. They're not just relying on DeMar DeRozan to just get them out of things every single night like they did before. And then when you chip in this performance from Zach LaVine, and if him getting into rhythm is going to be something that's going to be sustained for him and the team, then, it's the sky's the limit. As much people were down on this team and things like that, at the end of the day, this team is still really getting together. They're still really gathering their rhythm, and we're starting to see them play a little bit better. The Bulls fixed the first quarter issues a lot in this game as well. Did still lose the first quarter, but it wasn't by as much as they lost first quarters before, getting out to a huge deficit. Three-point shooting is still a bit of concern in this game as well, of what they allowed. But at the end of the day, they can control Kyrie Irving, keep him contained. He only scores 4 points, all 4 of those points coming in the fourth quarter. The job that Ayo Dosunmu and Alex Caruso did on Kyrie Irving in this game is amazing. It's not to be understated at all. They came in and they had a defensive plan to contain him, and it worked. Kevin Durant did Kevin Durant things. He only took 16 shots and scored 32 points, having a very efficient night. But the fact that we were able to force Kyrie Irving to not have an efficient night, yeah, Royce O'Neal went off for 20 points, having a career high. But at the end of the day, when you're able to contain a superstar in Kyrie Irving in the way that the Bulls did tonight, you're going to have a player go off, or an unexpected player kind of step in and take some unexpected points, because their defensive scheme worked for the most part on Kyrie. The KD thing, even though, Patrick Williams played really solid defense in this game, and, being active P instead of passive P has been great for Patrick Williams. He took shots confidently on the offensive end, but he also guarded Kevin Durant pretty well in this game. Yes, you're going to see that points total for the box score watchers who don't watch the game and say, what do you mean, Haize? But I mean, he was in position. Kevin Durant just hit some tough shots and got to the free throw line a bunch, 12 of his points coming from the free throw line. So, it is what it is there. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from this team. I'm liking the chemistry that they're building. I'm liking the rhythm it seems like they're building in, trying to correct things. This is another well-coached game from Billy Donovan as well. His adjustments were key to this game. He really adjusted well when you look at just how he came out of that second half. And there you can tell that the Bulls' game plan, both offensively and defensively, changed a little bit. Billy Donovan coached this game very well as well. We're missing some depth as well in this game. But at the end of the day, the Bulls come in, they take care of business. Zach LaVine looks like the superstar we want and need Zach LaVine to be in games like this during this year. We're going to need him to be healthy in the playoffs. We're going to need all of that. And, Zach talking about, his health and things like that and coming around, getting back into rhythm. Hopefully that holds true. Hopefully we do see Zach LaVine now that is going to get in rhythm for this team and is going to give us not necessarily performances. We don't need him to score 20 points in a quarter every single game, but we do need him to be that constant passer, constant scorer for the Chicago Bulls team. Now, there were some times that Zach LaVine was pressing, right? And even in our halftime hangout, people have now, pointed out, and this is again for kind of the people who are just looking for something to say with Zach, or be like, oh, that injury, do you see that? Zach LaVine is getting to the rim, and he's passing out of that. I, for one, take that not as a health thing, but I take that as he's trying to find open teammates. He talked about it in the Philly game, how he missed Nikola Vucevic, and he wished he would have made that pass. So I think I look at it like this. Zach is trying to evolve his game while he's also trying to get in rhythm. And we'll see if that's successful or not. I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to be a successful thing for him or not, but we'll see. I like the way that Zach LaVine's playing, especially in a game like this, but he's put together some very solid performances in the season so far, being in and out of the lineup, only playing 5 games so far. The team rhythm kind of being off. He's averaging 24 points per game, 3 rebounds, about 4 assists on a PER of 19.3. I would love to see that efficiency go up some. As well. His usage rate is right about the same as it was last season as well. He had a usage rate of 27.9. It's 27.5 this season, so he's getting as many opportunities. We just want to see that PER and that efficiency, but Zach has constantly worked on that efficiency as well. His true shooting percentage is right at 60%. That's right in line with what you want it to be at. So we are seeing improvements from Zach LaVine. The turnovers are down. The turnover rate, I should say, is down for him overall as well. So, as we continue to build those things out, the players that are stepping up, things like that. And I would say this. The way that Io scores, the way that Io now is putting the ball on the floor, getting to the lane, taking people off the dribble, not backing down from anyone, is going to be huge for this team as well as we continue and go forward, and especially if we have Zach LaVine in and out of the lineup as well. So we're seeing that. And as I said earlier in the show, Billy Donovan and Zach LaVine did not rule out when asked if Zach LaVine would play tonight. This would be his first time playing in a back-to-back. And like I said, even if he does play tonight against the Charlotte Hornets, it's probably not going to be a lot of minutes. But let's take a look at this game for the Charlotte Hornets coming up tonight and preview that game. So the Charlotte Hornets, like I said, riddled with injuries. Melo has not played yet this season. He's not made a season debut. He's out. Terry Rozier's out. Cody Martin, all out. These are players that projected to be very big parts of the Charlotte Hornets rotation that are all out. So when you look at who's going to be starting for the Charlotte Hornets team, it's going to be Dennis Smith Jr., Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Mason Plumlee. They also sent Mark Williams down to the G League. So there you go, high pick down there in the G League. With that being said, a lot of people wonder why our Dalen Terry's not down there. But this is a Charlotte Hornets team that has played probably better than most people were expecting. If you told them that LaMelo Ball would have yet to play a game this season, he's already been ruled out this game. But this is a team that's being led in scoring by Gordon Hayward. He's coming in with 18.9 points per game in this one. But really, the story of this one and the player that I'm kind of worried about kind of going off against the Chicago Bulls is a player that's having a mini career resurgence in a way, and that's Dennis Smith Jr. So far on the season, averaging 12.3 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 6.4 assists per game, 2.3 steals per game, and shooting 44% from three is Dennis Smith Jr. so far on this season. And so, it's wild to see like a player that many people had counted out having a really good rookie year, that rookie year kind of going away, and then him not just maintaining that success, but Dennis Smith Jr. is still a very young player with some upside still left. He's only 24 years old as well. And he's playing very well for the Charlotte Hornets team, playing efficient basketball as well, having one of their highest player efficiency ratings on the team for them. So seeing that, but this is a team that, while I know that the Bulls have enough to beat, even if Zach LaVine does sit, when you look at this, the starting lineup and the roster the Charlotte Hornets are going to put on the floor. But again, this is not a team that you want to overlook, because as we know with the NBA and as we've seen with the Bulls, they can, especially when you let teams get off in the three-point range, the Bulls could let this team go off three-point range, and that's what keeps them in this game. PJ Washington also having a solid season so far, averaging 17 points per game. That I'm very high on PJ Washington. He's a player that I'm very high on. So coming into this game, PJ Washington, setting a record for threes in his first game ever against the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls need to be locked in defensively this game, much like they were in that Brooklyn game. They played solid defense throughout. The defense kind of faltered at different times when they allowed big runs without scoring and matching that. But you don't want to overlook the Charlotte Hornets team. You do not want to let them go off from the three-point range at all, because if you do, like with most games, you're going to see this team kind of run away with it. You don't want to allow that. We have to get out on the offensive boards as well. This is another team in which Nikola Vucevic's size should be and could be a determining factor in just the success of this game. Playing inside out from Nikola Vucevic, who did not have a good game last night. I'm looking for Vuce to have a bounce back game today against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, again, you don't want to overlook the Hornets. They come in ranked as the 11th best offense in the NBA, even without having LaMelo Ball so far this season. That's wild for the Charlotte Hornets. If somebody would have told you that the Charlotte Hornets would be one of the best offensive teams without LaMelo Ball being on the court yet, you would have probably doubted that. At least I would have. So you don't want to overlook the Charlotte Hornets offense, because they can get going. They are ranked as the 20th defense in the NBA. So again, the Bulls face another team that isn't the strongest defensively. And hopefully, if they can get out to rhythm, they can throw this game off early on in this game. The Bulls have to be locked in defensively. That is one of the themes that is going to develop over the course of the season, is how the Bulls maintain that defensive intensity for 4 quarters. If they can do that against the Charlotte Hornets, they can definitely win this game, Zach LaVine or not. Looking at keys to this game, again, playing inside out with Nikola Vucevic is definitely a key in this game, at least for me. I want to see Vuce get back in rhythm. I want to see Vuce get back to what he's been so far this season and have that type of game for the Bulls. I'm looking for another 20 and 15 game from Nikola Vucevic against the Charlotte Hornets. If we can do that, it's going to bode well for this team overall. I'm really hoping that we see a big game back for Nikola Vucevic. Again, Mason Plumlee's their starting center. Backing him up is Nick Richards. Vooch should be able to establish his dominance early in this. And then again, the scoring mainly is going to be coming from Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington in this game. Patrick Williams has to own this defensive assignment. This is another game in which Patrick Williams is matched up against a power forward that is more similar to his size, and he could have the defensive advantage of, but Patrick Williams has to be locked in. He has to show that activity he showed last night against Kevin Durant. If we can get that, the whole Gordon Hayward thing, I think DeMar DeRozan can guard Hayward pretty well. That's really all I'm worried about on this team. I already talked about Dennis Smith Jr., but considering the defensive streak Io has been on this season, I trust that Io is going to play solid defense on Dennis Smith Jr. We're always going to have one of him or Alex Caruso on him this game, especially if Zach LaVine starts. But this is a game in which the Chicago Bulls cannot overlook the Hornets because it could get ugly. They could get out on a three-point barrage early. So if the Bulls can have a solid first quarter, maintain defensive intensity throughout the game, this should be a dub for the Chicago Bulls. But like I said, don't want to make it seem easier than what it's going to be for them. And that's pretty much it. I really do love just the rhythm this team's getting into. I love how Patrick Williams has really been playing well the last 4 games, really earning his starting spot back, playing the most minutes he has in the last 2 games, both going over 30 minutes per game in both those games. He's just playing solidly out there. He's gotten that defensive edge back from his rookie season, and that's what we want to see. Moving very well without the ball, trying to take people off the dribble when he realizes he has the mismatch. Patrick Williams is playing very well lately, but Io DeSumu's nothing to shake your head at. Who performs off the bench? Javonte Green is back to kind of being questionable Javonte. In last night, he went 0 for 2, but again, still doing the energy plays. But Derrick Jones Jr., a player that I did not think was going to get very many minutes, if any, for the Chicago Bulls team, has been playing really solidly since he initially got that larger role for this team. So at the end of the day, this team's playing pretty well. Still some question marks overall. The third quarter offense in last night's game left a lot to be desired. So we got to see this team come back around. We got to see this team start making these things consistent. If we can start seeing the consistency from the team in some of these areas that's hurt them, it's going to be a much better team than what even some Bulls fans are giving us. So a lot of hope still remains here from me for the Chicago Bulls team. I want to see them lock in. Let me know what you guys think about everything down below. But that is it for today's episode. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod at every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com or BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Why do I not remember my email? And then if you want to leave a text and or voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related because of you guys. And like I like to end everything on, go Bulls, see red. Love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.